Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. Welcome to episode number 1 in our brand new series. This is going to be a series specifically for the newer players, or players that are returning and kind of get overwhelmed by a lot of the stuff that Maple has to offer. This series is really because I've seen a lot of feedback recently where players either stop playing or have been getting stuck, really not knowing what to do. Whether they don't know which systems to explore further, like Links and Legion, or if you don't know what like optimized flames are, if those types of things, sayings, and words kind of overwhelm you, or maybe you've heard of them and don't really know what they mean. Hopefully in this series I'm going to go through and teach you everything you need to know as a newer or returning player, or simply if you just feel like there's too much and you really just want a condensed form for all the stuff you might need to know going into Maple. Hopefully this is going to be that series. And I did want my last series, which was my solo progression series, to include a lot of these tips that I'm going to go over here, because I was hoping a new player could use that kind of as a blueprint. But I ended up skipping a lot of that stuff and got kind of caught up in just the progression of the account in general. But going through that, I now feel like I have a really good understanding of the game and feel like I could easily, especially being a newly reinitiated player, convey a lot of those more complex things here, and hopefully make them a lot easier to understand and a lot simpler. I might miss stuff or skip over stuff, and I'll try to double check to not do that, but if I do, feel free to throw them down in the comments, and if you know the answer, also feel free to drop the answer down there as well and help out your fellow community members. Now with all of that out of the way, we can jump into the actual game. So whenever you download GMS or Global Maplestory, that's going to be the game we play in North America here, you get two options. So I'm not going to go over every single thing in this series. I'm really just going to go across a few different ideas. For example, I'm not going to be going into what the Challenger World stuff is. It's a seasonal server, so if you want to look more into that, you can, but it does go away and come back from time to time. Even though this was only the first iteration, there will be a second one in a few months. So I'm sure plenty of videos have already been made on that. I'm not going to go over things like that are temporary. So just make sure to keep that in mind while we go through the series. So whenever you first log in, you get to either select between interactive or heroic / reboot servers. They used to be known as reboot, so I'll still reference them as that here from time to time. These servers are servers that are strictly based on your own progression. There's no trading or anything like that. And there's no amount of real life money you could spend to give you a big time advantage in these servers. Whereas in contrast, we have interactive. These are the older servers. In these servers, there are tradings between players, and you can also trade on like an auction house type deal, and there is significant amounts of progress you can make with real life money. I have made most of my characters here on Heroic, so we're going to be doing that, and I want to make a new character that I can get from 0 to 210, hopefully to start killing some notable bosses, mainly Chaos Root Abyss. These bosses are a good starting point for a lot of players, a really good goal for a newer account as well, and definitely something that is doable. So whether you pick Kronos or Hyperion, it's totally up to you. They recommend Hyperion because a lot less players play on these servers, which is a big advantage in a few different ways, but I'm already established on Kronos, so I'm going to make a character there. You might have friends that are already on Kronos, but if you're like a solo player that's just starting for the first time, you might want to consider Hyperion. You can't switch your characters from Kronos to Hyperion or anything like that, so while this is kind of a big decision, it's not a huge deal. I will say that if you already have players on one of the servers, probably just go to that one, or if you really enjoy playing by yourself, maybe check out Hyperion. If you really enjoy playing with groups, check out Kronos. There's a lot of caveats and argument about which server is better. I'm not getting into it. Just pick the one that you think might work best for you. So we're going to go into Kronos and check out a new character. So obviously I have a bunch of characters, but let's just pretend yours looks like this, and we're going to start with a brand new character. So when you do get into the game, there's a myriad of classes. So I think there's over 50 classes now, tons of different variety, and my main thing, if I had to suggest for anyone as a first off tip or trick, is to pick a class that you think looks cool. I only say that because if you pick a class based on how strong it may or may not be right now, it probably will fall out of damage ranking sooner or later. For instance, we can take a look at Kali. Kali is a incredibly strong class right now as far as damage goes, and you might pick it, but let's say in the next large update, which is going to be in winter, let's just pretend it loses like 30% of its damage or just doesn't become as strong as all of the other classes. Not to say that it's weak or can't do any of the endgame bosses, it's just that the extreme top end of its damage isn't as high as, proportionally as it once was. So a lot of people end up in this position and they end up dropping a character because when it's weak, it doesn't feel as fun to play as when it was strong. So I would just highly recommend picking a class that you think looks cool. Maybe look up a video, you're all like, okay, looking through these classes, I really like the look of Lara. Let's go look up some gameplay of Lara. You're like, all right, cool, this looks right up my alley, let's play it. I think that should definitely be what you're aiming for whenever you first start in Maplestory. The reason that most of this doesn't matter, whether you pick a character that you end up falling in love with or not liking, is really just because you get rewarded for making pretty much any characters in the game. As you make your characters, you build up your overall account, which will make all subsequent characters, including your main character, even stronger. So let's say you make an Evan, you find out it's kind of hard to play because there's, a lot of combos and stuff like that. It's okay, because making him has made your account stronger and you're going to want to level it up to level 210 anyways. So it's not like you're wasting any time. That's why I said just go with whatever character looks cool, looks fun, and something that you might be interested in for a long time. This game is definitely a long-term investment. So with that being said, I'm going to make a new character. This character, like I said, is going to be focusing on getting to around level 200 or 210 in order to fight the Chaos Root Abyss bosses. So the class that I have been looking forward to making is definitely not a popular class. I think it is still fairly strong, but just really I don't see people talking about it too much, and that's going to be a Corsair, which is going to be one of the pirate explorers. So let's go ahead and create this character, name him, and we'll jump into the game. Alright, so now that you've made your character and jumped into the game, named it whatever you wanted, and you're here. So I don't really think it matters what setup you have for your keys, but I'm quickly going to go over a really easy tip for you to hopefully make your experience a little bit better getting through all these quests. So whether you picked the default setup, the secondary setup, or custom like I did, you can set up your custom now. This will make it all for all your characters a lot easier, but it is a little time consuming, so just do it whenever you have free time. The only tip that I would highly recommend is to put your interact key, which I think is typically on space, put it on Y. This will make it so that you can just hold down the Y key, and anytime you're prompted with a yes or no, which is pretty often in questing NPC stuff, then it'll automatically select yes, making it a little bit faster. These are the keys that I set up for all my characters, so if you want to copy it, go ahead, but a lot of players have unique keys, especially the more key complicated classes like Blaster. Obviously, it's going to be different for you. Pick whatever you like best. Also, something that's going to be different for you is where you start. Based on your character that you selected, if you're like an Adele, they have a lot of different early game quests that you have to do. It's kind of long, but as an explorer, there's actually not a ton for you to do. You generally just follow any time you see a light bulb that is yellow. That's usually a main quest, and you can go ahead and press J if you want to look through all of your quests. And typically the ones that say job are going to be the ones you're going to want to focus on, as those ones will move along your storyline and really get you to the next area or the next milestone much quicker. You can spend time on these other quests, but there's like a million quests in Maplestory, and a lot of them are not super useful. So we're going to go through and try and get through all of these light bulb quests. For me, I've already done these quest lines, and luckily if you are doing them for a second time, typically they let you skip them. This is something they're constantly improving, so this allowed me to skip the first little tutorial part. And obviously, like I said, if this is your first time, you're just going to go through the quest following their directions. They're really hand-holding in the beginning, so I hope it's not too difficult to get through. And we are going to make a pirate, like I said. If you do end up getting stuck, again, you can just press J, go to the in progress quest that you're on, and hit the navigate button, and it should highlight on your map, or you can press N, which is your map button, and that'll show you where to go next. Really helpful. Also, if they're asking for you to find a particular mob, you can go in here to the little key spyglass and type in the name of a mob, and it should hopefully pop up and you'll be able to go to and find it. So for instance, if we wanted to find an orange mushroom, we can type in the word orange, and here we can even find the quest for the orange mushrooms, which is here. It's highlighted, so you can go there by teleporting, which we won't do now, but that's just an example of how you might progress a quest if you're a little stuck or don't know where to go. Also, this is a nice little tip. If you are going to places frequently, like Genesis, you can actually favorite it by right-clicking, making it a favorite, and by opening the star, it'll show up here. So you can have 30 of them, and you can have them all over the world if you go to places pretty often. Someplace I like to do really often, making it my favorite, is Mushroom Shrine. I'll tell you why later, but this is a really common place for people to go in order to get buffs that the community end up giving to each other. Alright, so all I did was talk to Kieran because she had a yellow light bulb above her head, held down the Y key, and she leveled me up. So now that I'm level 10, I can show you a few things. We are going to be using a pistol because that is what the Corsair uses. And then for me, the keys are L and K. This is just going to be your character panel and your skill panel. These are the two most important panels every time you level up. You're going to definitely want to pay attention to them. You have a tab for each job that you get to, being jobs 1 through 6. And then you have the beginner basics tab. So the most important part whenever you level up is to use your 3 skill points that you get every time you level up, and your 5 ability points every time you level up as well. Pirates are a little bit different than other classes. If you were a warrior, you would just dump all your skills straight into strength, but since I can either be a buccaneer or a corsair, buccaneers take strength and corsairs take dexterity. So I get 2 options, but for me it's really just going to be all in dexterity. And don't worry if you do get this wrong. Usually it's just 1 button for most classes, but if you are a weird class like, you know, Corsair, if you get it wrong, it's okay. There are ways to reset the skills so that you can reallocate the points if you really want to. So now that we've allotted all of our ability points into Dex, we can take a look at our skills real quick. Typically you get 3 skill points per level up, and don't worry if you mess up, you can reset these. That being said, you are going to just get all of these to max level anyways. So especially with how fast people level up nowadays, it's really not a big deal if you mess up. It's okay, you'll level up again, you'll get more points, so don't sweat it too much. They've made it really easy. So feel free to put your skill points in whatever. For the beginner skills, you'll probably never ever use these. And then we can take a look at your first job skills. So make sure to get at least a point in your mobbing skill if you have one. Mobbing referring to killing a bunch of mobs at one time. For me, that's going to be somersault kick because I know it can hit one platform that I'm on and the platform above me. So in order to do that, I actually need to equip knuckles. See, it has a bit of verticality, which means I can typically hit mobs that are above me as well. This is going to vary between classes, of course. Also, if you have the option for a movement skill, I'd recommend getting at least 1 point in that. So this allows me to double jump side to side. And then the rest, you can kind of just do whatever you want with. I put a couple in my passive skills to get more speed and damage, and also 1 in my dash because I didn't know what it did. It's just a little movement speed buff. And then, of course, I'm going to level up double a shot last. It's not too good for leveling, but like I said, we're going to get to level 30 pretty quick here, so it's not that big a deal. So now that we've gone over your early basic skills and ability points, we can get into the questline a little bit more, and this is going to allow me to skip to the next part. Like I said, this is atypical. If you are brand new, just continue to follow along the quests that do show up for you that are golden. And I will reiterate that every single one of these job quests, whenever you press J, so it's acting as if I completed all of these job quests, which is why I'm allowed to skip these. So typically I would accept it, and this would take me on an adventure and get me up to level 30, but because I already have done it, I can skip this portion. So whether you ended up skipping all the quests like I did, or actually playing through them, you might end up at level 10 if you're an explorer. If you're other classes, a lot of them do end up at level 30, and you might need to skip forward past this part. But for us, we started out at level 10, and we need to get to level 30. That'll give us access to the next job advancement. So for us to do that, we have to do it the old school method, which is just going to be killing mobs. There's really no quests between level 10 and 30 that are really worth doing, so you're just going to have to do it old school style. So if we leave this room, we find a cab here, and it can take us to anywhere in Victoria, which is the base island. We're going to want to go to Hennesis, and it's going to take us there for free. Alright, so now that we're in Hennesis, if you don't have a cab near you or something like that, or any way to get around, that's totally fine. Press N, and they did update the teleport system very recently. You can actually teleport for free every 5 minutes to practically anywhere in the game. We do need to get to level 30, like I mentioned, and one of my favorite places to do that is actually going to be over here in the Golems entrance. You generally want to keep around 10 to 20 levels between you and the thing you're fighting. So right here at level 15, this is going to be the best for us. It's only 5 levels above us. Keep in mind, because my character and my account is built up so much, I'm going to do more damage than you. That's just straight up probably going to be factual. It's okay. You're still going to go through the same methods, kill the same mobs. It just might take you a little bit longer. So we can go through here, and like I said, this mobbing skill allows me to kill mobs really efficiently, really effectively on 2 different platforms. This will vary from class to class, and you might take 2 or 3 shots to kill them, but eventually you will kill them, and this will take you all the way up to level 30. You can go through and kill all these mobs as best you can, and if you want, feel free to explore around and make sure to bind your potions. So these potions they give you, I put them on one of my keys, and every time my health gets even a little bit low, I press the healing key. And like I said, explore around. These mobs are the mobs for beginners, so you're not probably going to die super quick here. So there we go, we got to level 13, and we've only been here for a few minutes, but I thought I would talk about this now since it did just happen to me, where a piece of gear dropped. So of course you'll get these little wads of money or potions or random items that the enemies drop, but from time to time you'll also get items. So here you can see there's a hat on the ground and it's glowing blue, and it does require level 20. You can see there in red text, so we can't wear it just yet, but it does have a potential. This is a good time to tell you or show you what potential is, and you can look at an item's potential by hitting the spyglass, clicking on the item, and sometimes it'll cost money for you to do, but in this case it's so low level they just do it for free. It'll show the attack power increase, and if you want to see what the total character power increase is, go to your options and go to the item info tab in the game tab, and go from show damage range, which I think it's on by default, and go to show damage range and combat power. This will help because it not only shows how much attack power this increases your by, but it also shows how much it increases this number by, which is the second one. So if I did equip this, it would increase it by 46, which while it's not a lot right now, it obviously will help to know this in the future. And once we get to level 20, I'll talk about Starforcing, which is going to be the next way to upgrade your armor besides potential. So while I was fighting these golems, a bunch of these purple orbs showed up. This happens from time to time, and it just, whenever you're killing mobs, will happen. And that means that there is an elite boss that's ready to be shown onto the battlefield. Once you kill all of these, an enemy will appear. This is one of many different combat events that happen while you're training. And just do your best to kill this mob, and it might drop some extra goodies. So on top of the normal stuff that it dropped extra traces and extra food. So you're not going to be, taking this to the bank. It's not dropping a billion meso or something like that. But it will give you a little bit of boost in either money made or experience gained. So generally, it's worth it to just take it out if it doesn't take too much time. But if you're sitting there for a few minutes, it might not be worth it. So just a little thing that happens from time to time. Maybe you're like me and you just leave a bunch of stuff on the ground because you can't be bothered to pick them up. You can hold down the loot button and go from side to side and it'll pick up a lot of it. But still, you're missing a bunch of stuff and it takes kind of a while. So in this game, there are ways to skip looting essentially, or just really allowing a companion to do it for you. So we can introduce pets now because we've been playing for a few minutes and there's a bunch of stuff on the ground. So go into your use tab and every character gets a mysterious cryptic gift box, which comes with a pet. So this is going to be your snail buddy, and it'll last for 5 hours. Double click him to bring him out, and as you can see, he's already picking all the stuff up for me. I'm not actually pressing the pick up item button anymore. This makes leveling, training, and everything really just so much more convenient, and they even have extra ways to give you additional abilities and stuff like that later on, so pets are pretty awesome. Now that we're level 20 though, and we have a pet, we can take a look at the Starforce system. This is something I mentioned that I would talk about earlier, and we can look at that piece of gear we talked about before. Now we can equip it, but before we do that, let's make sure to make it as good as it possibly can be. So in order to level it up through Starforce Enhancing, you see at the very top it has 5 blank stars. In order to level them up, you click on this red hammer, put the item in there, and go ahead and hit Enhance. You can disable Star Catching. Star Catching does give you an advantage, and it gives you a little mini game like this, which will increase your odds if you actually hit in the yellow area, unlike me. It increases your odds of actually, enhancing. It shows your general success and failure right there, but in most cases, you just disable it, hit Enhance, and you can line it up so that you can just spam in one location. And there we go. We topped it out at 5 stars. Can't go any higher than that. And now the combat power went increased from 40 to 200. So a pretty big difference. We can equip that, and as well as any other gear you might have got while leveling. And now our character is looking like a real character a little bit. Make sure to occasionally insert or put in all of your points and spend all of your skill points that you've been accruing as well, so that you're keeping up with damage. And one more time, just to reiterate, there is no wrong selection here as far as leveling up skills. You can get all of them to max level, so don't worry about it. Since we were talking about damage real quick, let's take a look at your beginner tab. I know I said none of these skills matter, but there is one that does matter, and that's going to be the link tab. So I'm not going to get into links and legion fully, but I will talk about links briefly so you can get an idea of what they are. I'm going to equip mine, so you might have none, you might have some, so just do the best you can with what you have available. Clicking it will give you access to this link management tab, where you can select and link up all of these. So it's going to be 4 rows of 3, so 12 total links you can have. And I have so many characters that I have 3 tabs to select from. If you're wondering how to get these, it's just as long as you get a character up to level 70, then you have access to its link. Simple as that. If we take a look at Elven Blessing, this is a really useful link that you get from the Mercedes class. So if you make a Mercedes, get it to level 70, then you can have access to the level 1 version of this link. If you make a character, end up not liking it, then it's totally fine. Time's not wasted because now you've made your other characters potentially stronger by giving them access to your link. Some classes only have levels 1 and 2, such as the Kana. So with that out of the way, now you know how to get them. Make sure to equip any of them that you have that might be useful for while you're leveling up and training. We're not going to be killing any bosses, so make sure to not get any of the boss damage nodes like the Demon Slayer one. Just select all the ones that would help you with grinding mobs. So now that I have all of these allocated, you don't have to worry about it. If you mess up, just feel free to hit the minus button and select the other one that you do want. There's no limit on this, and you can have this on every single character now, so don't worry about it. Feel free to go wild and change all of them that you want anytime you want. Those are going to increase your damage by a lot, and something I thought I'd mention because you have access to them at a very low level, assuming this isn't your first character. So now that we've gotten to level 20, it's been about 5 minutes, and we are now able to teleport once again. These mobs are getting to be kind of low level for us, level 19, we're level 20 now. We always want to be fighting enemies within our level or slightly above, so we can look for some higher level enemies. We're going to go over to Alenia and fight these Surgeon Eye mobs that are level 29. So they're 9 levels above us, which is a little high, but with our new Link skills, we should be able to take them down no problem. Whilst I was killing some of these Surgeon Eyes, another event happened. This is similar to the one that we did earlier with the wolf. These bees will pop up and deal damage to a flower. Just make sure to take them all out. Shouldn't be too tough for you this early on, and they give you a bit more XP and loot, just like the wolf. Like I said, this similarly does happen from time to time. Take it out if it's not too big of a problem. Alright, so we've been fighting these Surgeon Eyes for some time, and it's starting to slow down and level a little bit. So I'm going to go to another area with some slightly stronger mobs and see if we can do some damage there. So I'm going to open up my map, go to the Grandis section, go to Savage Terminal, and here there are some hoodlums in the dump. This is for a different starting area essentially, and these mobs I feel like tend to be a little bit more worthwhile as far as experience goes, and sometimes you'll get little XP boosters here, which hopefully I get to find in a minute, and I'll show you what they look like. Alright, so now that I leveled up, and we actually got a little rune to appear here. So this rune of ignition is incredibly important. Whilst leveling, you need to use them. They're going to make it so you get so much more experience, but it's for a very short duration. So while you have it active, it will give you 100% more experience, but they typically only last for a couple minutes. You're going to have to play this little mini game, and it gives you the buff. As you can see in the top right, this will make it so whenever I attack enemies, I do a chain fire effect. So as you can see there. And on top of that, it gives me 100% additional XP for a few minutes. So you can see my XP bar absolutely flying up because we're killing way more mobs than we're normally used to, and on top of that we're getting double XP. And this does stack. If you have additional XP coupons, you can use the 2x, 3x, or 4x coupons and get even more XP per hour. And you can see how you can stack up buffs to really crank up how much XP you're getting. So now our levels are flying up. You can do this much earlier than I came here. I just was showing a few different places you can go to. And we're practically going to be level 30 in just a few minutes. We lost that rune's extra chain fire effect, but we're still getting the XP, so things are still going relatively quick. And just like that, we got to level 30. So now that we are level 30, we can job advance. If you're wondering where to job advance, you can either go to the light bulb here on the left and go to job, or if you don't know where that is, maybe it's tucked away, you can press F1. F1 is going to be your best friend. You only get access to it at level 30 for some reason, but this is going to be the guide. My guide looks like this, and I leave it on F1. Very handy even later in the game. Press F1 and expand it, and this is super useful. So it's useful for number one, it gives you unlimited teleports. So like we've been waiting for our 5-minute teleport cooldown to any of the maps. If you just want to go to a town, you can select Hennesis, for example, and go there. There's no cooldown on any of these. I can press F1, go back to it, and go to Alenia, but I have to wait 10 seconds, so there's a slight cooldown, but definitely not the 5 minutes that you're used to. That is a huge time saver for everyone, and also you can go to any of these maps. So these are all suggested areas for level 30. If we wanted to now go to the Silent Swamp and fight some of the mobs there, simply click on it. Tells you the enemies are this level. It's too high for me, so I'll wait. But maybe I can go to the Wild Boarland. No, that's also still kind of high. So we'll wait to go there, and we'll do a quest after we level up to our actual job. Currently, we're still technically just a beginner, technically, I think. No, we're a pirate, but we're not actually a named pirate. So in order to do that, press F1, click on Job Advance, and this will immediately take you to the area you need to go. Go through the yellow light bulbs, and this will advance you. I just held down the Y key to get through that dialogue super fast. Here, you're going to get shown a few different skills from each of the classes to help you decide on which one you want to go with. This is, I think, exclusive for the explorers, where it shows each kind because we can turn into multiple different classes. Typically, if you're like a demon slayer or something, you just talk to your guy that levels you up and job advances you, and then you immediately job advance because there's only one type of job you can go into. If for some reason your job advancement isn't showing up, whether it's not in the light bulb or not whenever you press F1, then you might be one of those unique classes that need to do a few more job quests. My recommendation would be to press the J tab, open up your quests, and go through and do all of the quests labeled job. This will make it so eventually you'll have access to whatever job advancement you're allowed to do, which will definitely be given to you at level 30. So if you still can't job advance, try knocking a few of these job quests out of the way, and hopefully that'll give you access to it. And boom, just like that, we are an actual pirate now. Before we were just a general pirate, now we're a gun slinger. Our ability points have turned from 2 to now 1. There's only one type of stat we need, which is Dex, and we'll auto-select those. Like I said, you can just put all of the points into all of these skills. You level all of them up to maximum at the end of the day. So now that is fully done, we can move on to the next tab, which is the gun slinger tab. I'm going to need a gun for this. Make sure to level up again, like I said. Put some points into, so you only have 3, or you have 4 when you level up, but typically you only have 3. 1 into a mobbing skill. Get rid of your old mobbing skill. This is definitely going to depend on your class. Sometimes you keep your mobbing skill from level job 1 all the way up to job 6. It stays the same, but for me, it changes every job, so I'm going to select the new one. I also want to summon my new summon skill. So I'll take that, put it on whatever you want. And I am going to put my last point in wings. I really like taking movement skills early on. This is my up jump, so that's what I will be using for getting around easier. I'm also going to put a point into this. Crit rate is super, super important early on. You want to get as close to 100 crit rate as you can. Obviously, my links that I showed you earlier helps me a lot, but still, just do the best with what you got. Try to get it to 100 as soon as you can. So with my new skills, and I'm going to equip my new weapon. Feel free to equip your title as well, and any gear that you might have got that could be an upgrade, make sure to equip that along the way as well. Any gain is going to help you, especially when killing mobs, especially if you are not an established account. So now that I got my new skills, I can check them out and mess around with them. I got my new summon character, which will help me. And also, if I want to, I can do an up jump. And I think I can even fly. There we go. So we're level 30. So that's as far as we're going to get in this video, is level 30. Like I said, I'm trying to break these down into smaller chunks. There's still going to be longer videos because I am leaving a lot of stuff in and trying to go over as much as I can. But this is going to be a long process, so make sure to stick with it. So like earlier, I showed you links and how to allocate those. Those give you a bunch of damage. And another thing that goes along with links is Legion. This will also give you a ton of damage. Mine is right here on my equal sign, so that's what I'll use to open it. Or you can go into your settings and go to manage Legion in the menu. So now that we have access to our Legion, if you have some characters already made, then you'll have access to this board. Yours is likely going to be a bit smaller than mine. It might not even have all of these areas on the outside. It might just be this little square in the middle. Mine currently is 8860. I think you do need to have at least 500 levels across your entire account for this to even show up. So if you don't even have that, that's totally fine. Everyone has to start somewhere, but you won't really have anything to do at this point here. If you do, let's say, have a few characters and you've gotten up to around total level 1000, then you'll have access to a little bit of points here. Put some into attack or your main stat, and it'll help you from time to time. Make sure to claim the coins whenever you can. They build up here, and they show you the maximum, which for me is 900, but yours will likely be less. If you do things in the game that are notable, such as different quests, different missions, or kill certain bosses or mobs, you can go to the artifact missions. There are some normal ones, like I said, killing 2,000 mobs near your level, killing certain bosses that you've never killed before, or even going through and finishing certain quest lines. You'll get rewarded in Legion XP. This is going to be artifact XP, not character XP. I can see my artifact is level 32, and you might be wondering what that is. So Legion is one thing that will give you a little bit more damage as you get more characters, but also artifacts do the same thing. You'll slowly unlock artifacts as you increase your artifact level. And you'll see down here, each time you level up, you get an extra point down here. These you can change at any time. They do cost a little bit of artifact points, which you can see mine's at 13,000. And you can change these, so you can convert the stats if you need a little bit extra XP, a little bit extra drop rate, or damage. You can allocate them here. And whenever you want, feel free to level them up. I just level them up willy-nilly. I'm sure there's guides up there, but I just try to get all of them to level 10, which is the maximum. So I've allocated the things that I want most early on. So like I mentioned earlier, I want extra crit rate and I like crit damage, so I put those two in here. And also I put extra regular damage and attack power to help me kill mobs faster in here. These are the first two that I unlocked and the first two that I leveled up, and they really help you just while getting through the game. As you move on, you'll find that getting other stuff is nice too, such as extra cooldown skip, boss damage, or even extra health or drop chance. All of these are going to help you increase your damage, similar to how Legion and Lynx increase your damage. As your character levels up through all the different levels, they will increase in ratings. And as you can see, my characters are all rank SS or above. Like it is for Lynx, where there are breakpoints, being 70, 140, and 210, it is the same for Legion. The breakpoints are different and there's more of them, so I'm not going to tell you all of them here, but just know that getting your characters to level 120 and 200 are two big breakpoints for your Legion characters. So you might want to get your character all the way up to level 140. That'll be really nice to park them at there if you don't plan on playing them for a long time, because that'll give you access to a nice bit of damage for your Legion, and also gives you access to the level 2 link. That's going to be really helpful for building up your account, and eventually you want to get them up to level 200 and 210, which will further increase that character in Legion, and also it'll increase their link to level 3. That's generally the idea for leveling up your Lynx and your Legion, and something I wanted to mention because you get access to this at level 30. So that is the final thing we're going to cover now that we're level 30. Your first job, you should have some idea about what Lynx and Legion are. If I could sum it up in any easier terms, it would just be to, while playing a character, get it up to level 70 or 140 before you stop playing it, as that'll give all of your consecutive or subsequent characters even more damage, and that'll overall help your account a lot. That is the easiest way I know how to sum up Lynx and Legion, and there are plenty of full video guides on these things if it was a little bit too much. And that's our journey from levels 1 to 30. So hopefully that did help you a little bit. I know this video is longer. Like I said, tried to make them a little bit more bite-sized. This, while it is a long video, hopefully is easy to understand, and trust me, this is a long series. So in the grand scheme of things, this is definitely, hopefully, broken down into smaller bits for you. As I did mention at the beginning, if there was anything that I might have left out or just went over too quick or it's still confusing, feel free to drop down a comment below and I will do my best to follow up on that in the next episode or just respond to it directly. So hopefully you all enjoyed this and it helped you out. So I'll see you in the next one.